Sex Pistols were kicked off EMI back in January of 1977 and were looking for a new label. Their manager, Malcolm McLaren, was trying to get a new deal with several possible suitors. Despite being dismissed from EMI and copies of their single Anarchy in the UK being pulled from shelves and were destroyed, Malcolm McLaren was entertaining offers from Polydor, CBS, Chrysalis, Warner Brothers, and A&M Records. He wanted a $100,000 guaranteed contract from any company willing to sign the band. A&M's UK record director, Derek Green, and Malcolm McLaren met each other at a music convention, and the two hit it off. This led to Green seriously thinking about signing the band to a contract with his label. Green said about the meeting, "Believe it or not, at the time I never heard of either Malcolm McLaren or the Sex Pistols until the very day I talked to McLaren, because that's the kind of person I am. To this day, I don't read the music papers or watch TV, and I barely listen to the radio. It's my determination to protect my career by not being influenced by other professionals. I want to be an audience, and the best way for me to do that is to get into my own thinking." So I hadn't a clue when Malcolm called, and I took the call personally because I always have taken calls off the street, just as a matter of habit. I said, "Yes, what do you want?" And he told me that he had a group called the Sex Pistols and that they were on EMI and that he had an appointment to come around and play me a tape. Having got to know him through this, I think he must have been a bit thrilled that he found a bit of a mug who knew nothing about them. Malcolm brought over a tape that had 6 songs that the Sex Pistols were working on. After playing it for Derek, he was excited by what he heard. Green said, "I was terribly excited, having signed Rick Wakeman, Peter Frampton, Supertramp, Humble Pie, a big list of good, interesting artists on my early 70s roster. I was right 8 times out of 9, or something like that. I was doing my job, but my heart had left it. The rock and roll part of me had left my career, and then I would suddenly play this little cassette, and it just blew me away. Suddenly, I knew what was wrong with me. They weren't another American band that was churning out the same thing, and I was thrilled. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. I was terribly excited, so I probably handled it with the 'I'll get back to you' tactic, but I knew at this very moment I wanted to sign the act badly, and in this business, you rarely do." Negotiations lasted over a month, with Malcolm McLaren using offers from other labels as leverage to try and get a better deal out of A&M Records. After a few weeks, Derek Green left his London office to fly out to California to meet with Jerry Moss and Herb Alpert. Malcolm decided to tag along. Green had this to say about Malcolm's visit to Los Angeles. Malcolm arrived at the A&M lot on a sunny 90-degree Los Angeles day, dressed in an all-black leather outfit with a chain tying his knees together. It had to be one of the funniest things I've ever seen. I mean, here we are, all these cool LA record executives smoothing out their BMWs, and here was Malcolm. I'm withstanding it. I'm introducing him to the head of marketing, head of sales, everyone else, but without a deal because through all this, there were only 2 or 3 minor points that we just couldn't hammer out. Every one of the A&M staff said that they felt, "Green, you done it to us before, but this time you really done it." They said this script's going to be horrible, awful, and one by one they were coming off the fence and telling me that I really effed up this time. There were a lot of political points to be taken off of me, and I was getting tired of it. So I went to Jerry Moss and I said, "Jerry, I put months into this. I love the act. The manager is driving me nuts. Their lawyer is an a-hole. They're unreasonable in dealing with me. It's like nothing I've ever experienced before. But you're a wise old man. Tell me what to do because I'll have to break some company rules to win them." Jerry told me that if I really liked their music, I should sign the deal. Before the band signed with A&M Records, bassist Glen Matlock was fired despite writing most of the music that appeared on the 6 songs that Derek Green had heard on the tape that was played for him by Malcolm McLaren. He was replaced by Johnny Rotten's best friend, Sid Vicious. Glen Matlock had this to say about being kicked out of the Sex Pistols. "As soon as Malcolm came back from LA, he called me and arranged for a meeting in a pub, and he said, 'Look, they're rehearsing with Sid, but I want you to go in there and kick the door down. You got to show them who's the boss. Tell them you're the bass player and tell them to F off.' I said, 'I'm not interested anymore. I got my own thing going.' And he went, 'All right. Are you sure?' He said, 'Yeah. No hard feelings?' I told him, No, none whatsoever. And then the next thing was that telegram to the NME. McLaren sent a telegram to the NME's Derek John, which read, 'Yes, Derek, Glen Matlock was thrown out of the Sex Pistols, so I'm told, because he went too long about Paul McCartney. Stop. EMI was enough. Stop. The Beatles were too much. Stop. Sid Vicious, their best friend and always a member of the group, but unheard as yet, was enlisted. Stop. His best credential was he gave Nick Kent what he deserved many months ago at the 100 Club. Love and peace, Malcolm McLaren. March 9, 1977, the Sex Pistols were officially signed to A&M Records to a 2-year deal with a $75,000 advance each year. The deal allowed the band to record and release 18 tracks, including the 6 already recorded, within the 2-year period. The deal, however, forced the band to release a single every 5 weeks. Derek Green, however, wasn't pleased with the news about Glen Matlock being fired from the band. When Malcolm told him he was kicked out of the band and replaced by Sid Vicious, he said, "Are you joking?" Malcolm said, "No, he's great." I asked him how he played because I thought Matlock was one of the real players, and he said, "Well, he's never played before, and that's why he's perfect for the job." You would have thought that a regular guy trying to sign a deal would have tried to soften it, but Malcolm made it part of the excitement, which really made me behave oddly because I ended up saying that it made no difference to me at all. After signing the contracts, the band celebrated at the A&M London office. Steve Jones had sex with the secretary in the bathroom. Sidney broke a toilet and cut his foot open, while Johnny Rotten got drunk and insulted everyone. Derek Green watched it all and said, "I've been through a lot of mad scenes. I've witnessed a few with Joe Cocker, throwing buns at waitresses, flown across the Atlantic with George Harrison, and dropped dry ice in the swimming pools with Harry Nielsen. Humble Pie behaved every bit as bad in our office. None of this scares me. I knew it was just a lot of media manipulation." Malcolm McLaren arranged for the band to stage a contract signing to A&M Records in front of the Buckingham Palace on March 10th in a publicity stunt for the upcoming Jubilee at 7 a.m., which ended in a drunken mess. A&M Records were preparing to press and produce the single God Save the Queen on March 12th, but an incident involving Johnny Rotten and his cohorts got into a pub fight with the presenter of the Old Grey Whistle Test, Bob Harris, and a record engineer, George Nicholson, at the Speakeasy, a local hangout for members of the music industry. Bob Harris was bumped and bruised in the incident and fled to the countryside for a few days after receiving a death threat, but his friend, George Nicholson, needed 14 stitches to cover up a wound that he got in the scuffle. The incident at the Speakeasy caused Derek Green to rethink his decision on signing the Sex Pistols to A&M Records. He said, "For the first time, I was shocked. I was more than shocked because until then my reaction to the Sex Pistols' bad behavior was that I had said I'm not responsible. I'm just the head of a record company. What's it got to do with me?" But after I put the phone down, my conscience started to trigger. "Hang on, Derek. You are involved." For the first time, my thinking turned. I'm thinking, this is awful. I don't like the position I'm in. I'm not going to be able to defend them to people because they're basically a pain in the arse. And they're serious. This Malcolm McLaren looks very satanic, and his manipulations of everyone looks like no fun at all. When these instances occurred, he's looking to exploit it. Somebody's going to get hurt. Derek called Jerry Moss, the co-head of A&M Records, and said, I've been a disciple of this band for months. The record's going to be a smash, a number one, and we're going to make a lot of money from it. But you know what? I don't want to work with them anymore." I told him that A&M should stick with the Sex Pistols because A&M is supposed to be there to make money and try and feed the people who work there, and that if we got rid of the Sex Pistols, I was afraid people would think we look old-fashioned. We're supposed to do contemporary music, and contemporary music is punk. "So that's what I think you should do," I said, "but I ain't working it. I'll have to leave." Jerry said, "Hold off. Are you telling me I've got a choice between the Sex Pistols and you? Don't you think that's a bit unfair?" I told him I was afraid he was right, but that was it. Honestly, I wanted him to take them over me. "Okay," he said, "I'll make a decision. There's not even a question here for me. You stay. Pay them off whatever it takes. Just do it, and they'll go away." A little while later, Herb Alpert called Derek and said, "Look, if it's a choice between the Pistols and you stick. Pistols, I don't care about. These things come and go." On March 16, 1977, the Sex Pistols were released from their contract with A&M Records. The company released a statement saying, A&M Records wishes to announce that its recording agreement with the Sex Pistols has been terminated with immediate effect. The company, therefore, will not be releasing any product from the group and has no further association with them. Malcolm McLaren received a $75,000 buyout from A&M Records. After the initial shock wore off about being kicked off another label, he went about his way looking for another company who would press their single, God Save the Queen.